For me, I want to say without any fear of contradiction that his appearance before the committee here, upon the insistence of the Parliament, of course through the Speaker, that he has to be here, is enough a manifestation of the respect he has for the institution. We invited him the first time, he was not able to come, and he responded. We invited him the second time, he was not able to make it, he responded. And upon a third invitation through the clerk of the House, he is finally here. All I'm trying to say is that this is victory, not just for the House of Representatives or for this committee in particular, it's victory for our democratic system, it's victory for our economy, and it's also victory for the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He's finally here, and I would like to expect that upon his engagement with us here today, I will expect members to look at the context and the content of the mandate we have. The subject matter of our jurisdiction as a committee is the one to be subjected to discussions here. I would not expect any observation, comment, or questions that will get out of the context or scope of the mandate of this committee as given by the House of Representatives. This we will do by allowing every member that has any good question to ask or any good remarks to ask Mr. Governor, the Governor of the Central Bank, who is here with us out of sheer respect. I want to believe in that. To this very important engagement with the House of Representatives, on behalf of the Nigerian people and by extension through this important committee. When a committee of this nature is sitting, it sits as a house itself, because we're sitting on the mandate of the House, and the House rides on the mandate of the Nigerian people. So by implication, Mr. Governor, you are engaging with the Nigerian people in this formal capacity. I welcome you and members of your team for this engagement, and for purposes of remarks, I would like to take it again that the import of our engagement with you today was based on the mandate of the House of Representatives through a motion that was raised on the floor addressing the concern of the Nigerian people, the peers of the Nigerian people, through the House of Representatives. That at this point in time, when the central bank embarked upon a policy, financial policy, to redesign the Naira note, bring in new Naira note, and mop out the old Naira note, the House, upon presentation of this motion by my very good friend, Right Honorable Sada Soli, deliberated on the motion, and we felt we have the moral obligation, we have a constitutional duty and responsibility to invite the institution of the central bank under your leadership to come and engage, of course, with the people of Nigeria through their representatives. They are here seated. It is on this note that you are here with us, and I want to be very categorical that this is a legislative committee that has got no mandate to investigate. It's not an investigative committee. It's a fact-finding committee. To interface with you, ask questions, get facts that we can go back as a committee to address vis-a-vis on the submissions of the operators in the banking sector. I would like to also inform you that when we invited you for the first time and the second time, we had equally invited operators, chief executive of the commercial banks. They honored the invitation of this honorable house ab initio. We wanted to hear from you first, actually, being the regulator of the system. But your absence necessitated that we heard from them, or we hear from them, before we could now get access to you at the moment. So it's like the committee has engaged very effectively with the chief executives of the bank operators here. And we have taken a lot of questions, and they gave us a lot of answers. So at the moment, I think it's important for you to know that we have extracted some information from the commercial banking sector of the economic system. And our engagement with you definitely will now be taken against some of the backgrounds we have already established with the commercial banks. Our major concern, Mr. Governor, is about the lives and livelihood of the Nigerian people. Our major concern is about the critical situation of the Nigerian economy. The concern of the House of Representatives is about the protection and guidance of what we call the rule of law under a democratic system. This House, by all standards, has the constitutional right, and by the operating rules and guidelines of the House, we also have the official power, the constitutional power, to invite any agency of government to interface with their officials about policies of government, because government is about good government. Government is about good governance. Good governance is about the livelihood of the people, what we think ordinarily is going to be in the best interest of the Nigerian man. Nigerian man, I mean the common man on the street. This is one policy, I want to be very categorical, that has actually touched on the lives of our people. It has kickstarted a lot of controversy, left, right, and centers, and we have seen that in the faces of our people. So many people are now queuing up 24/7 to have access to the new Naira note. Economic activities, trading, in fact, even online transfers has been shuttered down by this policy you brought about. I want to be very clear with you that on our engagement, the last time you sent your deputy governor, Haji Aisha, we were briefed very adequately about the need for us or for the economy to operate a cashless society. So no one of us here is in doubt that the cashless policy of your own bank and the government is of course a good policy. We will see how we can partner with you to promote policies that are good. But when policies are now coming on in the eyes of too much storms in the face of the people, storming the economy, shuttling agriculture, stopping transportation, left, right, and center, with our constituents crying out, then of course we are under moral obligation to seek clarifications from you, to hear from you. So some of the critical questions I would like to allow you answer, which are very natural. And if you have been able to answer that questions, that will definitely summarize most of the issues that will come up from my respected colleagues. Yes, by the CBN Act, the governor has the power to redesign Naira or recall it not. Yes, it's your singular power, and we must help you protect that power and do it in the interest of Nigerian people. We but however, one of the burning questions is that, yes, we agreed you have the powers. Yes, you are protected by the law to redesign Nigerian Naira. Why this time? Why this time? This time because you cannot rule out this contemplation that when you are facing, when you are facing a general election, less than 30 days to election, you bring up a matter of this nature. Definitely people will ask questions. So these are some of the critical questions we would like you to address. And we also expect that while you are answering your questions, you must give cognizance to the provision of the very relevant law of the CBN Act, which is Section 20, subsection 3. So, my distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my respected colleagues, members, the CBN Governor, I would like to yield the floor to you to possibly address some of these questions. I believe members will also be very curious to hear from you why you were not able to attend our first and second invitation. Please. Thank you.
On the two occasions that invitations had been extended to us, but first let me apologize for my inability to be here. It was not intended to undermine your work, undermine the committee, neither is it intended to undermine the hallowed chambers of the House of Representatives. Unfortunately, I was out of the country on these two occasions, either when I was on my official vacation, or the last one being when I was member of the presidential delegation to the Dakar 2 summit at Dakar, Senegal. Those were the reasons. But of course, before then, I think when this same issue, coupled with the issue of the withdrawal, is it limit and all that came up at the plenary, we sent our representatives, chaired or led by our Deputy Governor, Mr. Aisha Ahmad. You are all aware that currency management is a key function of the Central Bank of Nigeria, as enshrined in Section 2, subsection B of the CBN Act 2007. And indeed, the integrity of a local legal tender, the efficiency of its supply, as well as its efficacy in the conduct of monetary policy are some of the hallmarks of a great central bank. And we have done our best working and with your support and your cooperation to make sure that we do our work. And today I think I must continue to give credit to our colleagues at the Central Bank of Nigeria for the excellent job that they have been doing, even trying to make sure that the Central Bank of Nigeria remains one of the most respected central banks in the world today. Now, besides the general practice across the globe, and that practice is that every 5 to 8 years, a central bank is supposed to redesign or give some form of changes to its currency. The reason is because the central bank has to be in a position from time to time to have firm control of money supply in the country. Unfortunately, we have not had the luxury of carrying out this important aspect of our mandate in the last almost 19 years. 19 years. To the extent that I'd like to say this. In 2015, currency in circulation was 1.4 trillion naira. October 2022, currency in circulation had risen to 3.23 trillion naira. More than double in 7 years. Very, very unfortunate that it more than doubled in 7 years. Out of the 3.23 trillion naira, more than 2.7 trillion naira were outside the banking system. More than 2.7 trillion naira is held in people's homes. What that does is that it makes our mandate of monetary policy very difficult. When we are not in control, out of 3.23 trillion, what we see only in the banking system is just about 500 billion. There is no how our work, which you, the lawmakers, has made the law for us to carry out. Our work cannot be effective. And that is the reason, and permit me, I will continue to say, and thank the President, that in 19 years, we've had an opportunity to carry out this important aspect of our mandate. We are grateful because we are grateful to him because he listened. After we provided him all the needed explanations about what we are going through, or what we've been going through in the Monetary Policy Committee about conducting monetary policy, our work effectively. Now, the President graciously gave approval on October 6, 2022. And we had expected that by around December 15, the currency would begin to circulate. But we were lucky that we moved forward the circulation, and it started in November when the President launched the currency. And since then, the central bank has taken a number of actions to make sure that this currency circulates as new as it is. And let me say that so far, out of the 2.7 trillion, we have so far collected about 1.9, leaving between 900 billion and 1 trillion still outside. So I will say that we have received the cooperation of Nigerians to the extent that yesterday we can say we have, either in CBN vaults, in the vaults of the banks, about 1.9 trillion, and we are happy that Nigerians are responding positively. towards making sure that we are able to conduct this important aspect of our mandate and we are able to do our work the way we are supposed to do it. But it's important for me to let Nigerians know, through you, what actions that we are taking to make sure that this is a hitch-free implementation program. We held several meetings with the deposit money banks and provided them with guidance notes on processes they must adopt in the collection of old notes and the distribution of new notes. These include specific directives to the banks to load the new notes into the automated teller machines, the ATM, nationwide to ensure an equitable and transparent mechanism for the distribution of the new notes to all Nigerians. We wanted to be sure that as the currency is coming out and is being given to the banks, issued to the banks, that the banks must go through a process that is equitable and transparent. We're saying we don't want the banks or customers to go and banks treat some as priority and some as less important. But when they go to the counters, what you will find is that depending on the large size of business that you give to the bank, they may decide to give you 1 million naira over the counter, but me, because I give them lower or less business, maybe they give me just 20,000 and all that. We said, no. Banks, as we are issuing you with this currency, load these monies into your ATM. Ladies and gentlemen, the ATM is a robot. You just give it a command, and you say the maximum anybody can collect is whether it's 20,000 or whether it's 40,000. That's what everybody collects, whether you are a priority or not a priority customer. That is the reasoning behind this decision. Everybody go to the ATMs. And of course, they've been loading those monies into the ATMs. Unfortunately, and indeed, I addressed the bankers on Sunday. And I expressed to them my disappointment, and in fact, disappointment of the president, disappointment of leaders in the country about the way this has gone on. Because many of us have unfortunately seen the new Naira, instead of being used for the purpose it is meant, the new Naira is being used in parties, in celebrations. And some of them said, well, maybe it's money from the ATM. I said, no. Money from the ATMs are already broken. They are in leaflets. But what we saw being stamped on people at parties were packets of the new Naira notes, which means that they had breached certain aspects of the guidance notes we gave to them. And I told them, and indeed, when I met President Buhari, I told him that even the previous, they had met with the EFCC, ICPC, and the NFIU, and that we're now going to bring the EFCC, ICPC, NFIU to join us in monitoring the flow of this currency to our people. And I must say that I'm even very delighted. Only yesterday again, I even read that the DSS themselves have even started, which is what we want. So that everybody knows that we're conducting this activity to the best of our abilities. We're doing this for the good of Nigerians. We're doing this so the Nigerian economy can be better than it is today. And I am saying that we are beginning to see some of the benefits. Like I said, inflation last month somewhat trended, at least it's not rising, it's not stagnating, it's somewhat moderating. And we're thinking and expecting that they will continue to moderate. Exchange rate will stay relatively stable. And what we're even hoping with this exercise, that Naira can even get stronger. With this exercise, we have seen that with this, we're able to support the activities of our security agencies. And I'm happy, and I'm sure we all know, or some of us know, that The incidence of banditry and ransom taking are somewhat at least reduced at this time, just making the job as security agencies more effective. So what we're saying is that what we have done here is for the good of Nigeria. It's for the good of Nigerians. We know in the process that some will be hurt, I would say temporarily, albeit temporarily. But it's a pain that I want to appeal to all of us to please show some understanding. Because the overriding benefit to Nigeria and to Nigerians is what we're interested in, which is about making our economy stronger and then combating the high incidence of insecurity in our land. Another action we took was that we commenced a nationwide sensitization through print and electronic media to create an awareness on the redesigned notes to Nigerians, including collaboration with the National Orientation Agency to reach all Nigerians across multiple channels. Third, like some of us may have known, in an attempt to ensure that we achieve a higher rate of financial inclusion, we increase the rate of the banks. Now, we today have 1.5 million super agents. These are like people who are acting as banks, but they are not banks as such, in the sense that they don't have vaults, but they are people who have kiosks. They sell pepper, or they sell sweet, or they sell coconut nuts, or they're in some form of shops, or they're in some form of restaurant. We made them our agents. So what does that mean? 1.5 billion of them in different parts of this country. You don't have to be a bank with a banking license to do this. We brought them in. Out of this 1.5 million super agents that are agent bankers, where you can, before now, in your various localities, whether it's in your village, in my village, we have people who have POS, who have some form of shops, and you go there, you want to draw money, and then you take money or even pay money into your bank account through them. To open an account with them, you don't need all the rigors. They are called what we call, is it tier 3? Tier 3 banks. All you need is your name and your BVN and your phone number. You have an account. Very seamlessly. That's what we have done. Now, what am I saying? Out of these 1.5 million people, or agents, we specially deployed 30,000 of them. 30,000. And what do? We told them, through your banks and through our central bank officials, you collect some sum of money on a daily basis. And what do? You go back to where you are selling your sweet, where you are selling your cola nut. Do cash swap or cash exchange with Nigerians. Say, for now, maximum 10,000. The reports that we get is that, and because we have to work with data, majority, I'm talking close to about 80 to 90% of the people are just content with accepting 10,000 and below because that's what they have in those villages. We may have a few who may have more than 10,000 Naira. Please just, if you can indulge me a little. Who may have more than 10,000, and we say if they go back again and again, they will be able to enjoy this benefit. 4, we deployed all our staff. We effectively shut down Abuja, shut down Lagos. All staff, go to your locality, not just your state, not just your local, go to your locality. We are lucky that we have in Central Bank, there's hardly anybody who says that in his locality there's nobody working in Central Bank. All over the 36s of the country. Those people, I doff my heart for them. They've left their job in the last 3.5 weeks. They have been in the villages, in the localities. They take cash, even when the banks are a little bit like daisical about it. They take cash from the CBN, maybe take like 5 million. They go to those localities and do cash exchange for everybody. At the end of the day, they bring back old notes, 5 million Naira. They lodge it back in the CBN just to make sure that even when you don't have an account, you can exchange this money. That's what we have done, ladies and gentlemen. Now, yes, like I said, We saw a few failing on the part of the banks, and we appealed to EFCC, appealed to ICPC, appealed to NFIU. They are currently even working with our CBN officials now, nationwide, to make sure that this process goes on seamlessly. We are happy that I said earlier, so far, the exercise has achieved a success of over 75% in our villages and the rest of them. So, it is on the basis of that, we saw that there were a few complaints here and there, particularly those in the villages. And that was why we said, okay, we now give a 10-day extension for the currency to have, for more and more of this to be collected, and then we'll make more disbursements. But I want to make my last comment. Subject to the content of the CBN Act Section 20, subsection 3, which says, even after the old currency has lost its legal tender status, that we are mandated to collect those monies. And I stand with the House of Representatives on this. What does that mean? You would have lost its legal tender status, in which case we have moved on, but you have your money that you have not been able to send into the bank. We certainly will give you the opportunity to bring them back into the CBN, redeem it. Either you pay it in your bank account or you want to do exchange, we give you. You will not lose your money. That is the assurance I give to Nigeria. I want to appeal. This is not an easy exercise. It is not an easy exercise, but we are happy that in 19 years, we are able to carry out this important aspect of our mandate. We are grateful that we are doing this. We want to do it, but we seek the support and cooperation of everybody. Support of Nigerians, cooperation of Nigerians. At these initial stages, there will be a few hitches, there will be a few glitches. We apologize. But I'm trying to say this. The overriding interest is the Nigerian economy. Make Nigerian economy stronger. Make Nigerian economy better. Because that is what we owe Nigerians in the position that God has put us today. And I would like to continue to seek your support that we please allow this program to succeed. Thank you very much, Chairman.
In every engagement, communication matters. Communication matters because communication is always important. It's only when you communicate. It's only when you deliberate. It's only when you interface as a government. Then you have an opportunity to understand the import of every policy of government. And I've kept on saying, time without number, that the institution of the legislature here, in this case the House of Representatives, or by extension the National Assembly, and perhaps with the institution of the CBN, the central bank itself as an institution, are in every aspect of it components of the Nigerian government itself. The policy is a government policy being carried out by a component of Nigerian government. The institution here also is a component of the government, in fact an arm of government. So this is of course a welcome submission. It is a welcome answer, but unfortunately at a belated point. If you had earlier come, submitted this thing, of course that's the point. Hold it please. Hold it please. Hold it. I suppose we have only one chairman here, please.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Please.
Fire on chairman. Fire, chairman.
So only if you had communicated this to us much earlier, the crisis would not have come up at all. Nigerians would have gone home to sleep without any fear of let or hindrance. So I want to thank you so much for coming up with this submission, most especially your last statement, the confession you made about the position of the law, that the bank will at all times respect as sacrosanct the position of the laws of the land, of course, which is an act that established the central bank and also provided for the establishment of your good office as governor of the central bank. It's a law that is in black and white, very clear, written in black and white, and you have said it all. And I want to say on behalf of the committee, I thank you and your team for, of course, admitting the position of the law. And that is all we expected. And at this point in time, therefore, the ball now falls on our court. We must go around on the street, especially to our constituencies at this very critical period, to let people understand that the law remains sacrosanct. That no matter the deadline for the use of the old Naira as a legal tender, that opportunity offered by law to admit the old Naira note and redeem its value at every point in time stands untouched. Sacrosanct. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my respected members of the House and members of this committee, at this point, while I want to urge you upon the strength of his last submission, which has, of course, been the crux of the matter of this committee, that let us, in a way, limit the number of questions that we'll ask. And while we're asking questions, I will expect every member to be within context. Of course, I know you have the feelings of your people. You will talk about the context of the peculiarities of our economy, peculiarities in respect of our population, peculiarities in respect of our exposure, the exposure of our people. I'm sure is all at the back of your mind. But I want to believe on the strength of his last paragraph submission is like we have resolved ourselves. It's like we are almost on the same page with the central bank. But we must see to the implementation of this commitment you have given to this committee and to the House by extension. So I would like to yield the floor to members to take 1, 2, 3, 4 questions. And questions must be within context. If you dare get out of context, I'll rule you out and I'll take the next question.
Thank you.
Honorable Babangida, please go ahead.
We have listened to the Syrian governor, and we've also listened all the measures they have taken. But, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, we have to balance them with current reality of what is happening. We have to balance it with the current reality. This policy, as good as it is, like the chairman has said, has created a lot of problems in terms of transactions, business transactions, due to the scarcity of these funds. And what I want to appeal to this committee, part of the document we will request from the Syrian governor, since part of the mandate is for each and every commercial bank to submit a weekly report to the CBN on the disbursements and the receipt of the new currency. I want to appeal to this committee to make that request, that the Syrian governor should supply to this committee details of all reports of the disbursements of the new Naira notes versus what they have been receiving. Because he mentioned that about 900 to 1 trillion is still out of circulation, but he could not make it very clear. Is he talking including the old notes or including the new note that is already in circulation?
That, they are not given enough. So he now wants us to now request you, and I'm now requesting on behalf of the committee and the House, that we need from the central bank a record of releases of the new Naira note to the commercial banks. So this will help us come up with a balanced report vis-a-vis to the submissions of the central bank operators who are here and complain that, we are not given enough. So this is a very good question, and I want to bank on it as the position of the committee and the House by extension, that we need official records of the releases of funds, the new Naira note to the commercial banks.
Weekly.
At least so far, from the time they started to date. Please.
I must commend the CBN for this policy indeed, but of the people. Policies are made for the benefit of the people and not the other way around. So the two areas I want the CBN governor to shed light on this. One, the huge queues on the ATM machines. That is one. And the cash swap policy. Mr. Chairman, because for me, I find it a bit absurd that someone will deposit, let's say, because the policy is intended to protect the vulnerable persons, like he categorized. If a vulnerable person deposits 200,000 naira over the counter, and you cannot even get 50% of the value of the money deposited over that same counter, you have to put the person through the rigors of going to the automated teller machine to withdraw not more than 20, or as it may be, 30,000.
20.
Exactly. So at that point, Mr. Chairman, the vulnerable persons that are supposed to be protected by the policies are not in any way protected, because they are the ones that stand on the queue.
Thank you, Honorable Moma. Thank you.
Hold on, Mr. Chairman, please.
Thank you.
I believe I'm under your protection.
Yes, I'm now trying to withdraw my protection.
Secondly,
You have 5 seconds.
Secondly, Mr. Chairman.
5 seconds. Why not?
Thank you. The cash swap policy he talked about, it is not realizable. How can you send super agents and all they can transact is 10,000 naira? How much is a bag of rice? A bag of rice is 28,000 naira. How much is the price of a cow? So when the person, because this policy, the cash crop policies, is for the people in the hinterland, people that don't have access to ATM machines. So when a woman sells a bag of rice and comes back, and how is she supposed to transact again when the highest she can get, if she has to swap the currency, is 10,000 naira? It doesn't make sense.
Thank you, Honorable Moma. Thank you.
And finally,
please no, hold it, please. Please, Moma. Yes, for matters that affect the people, we are still in session. The House itself that is supposed to reconvene this morning at 11 o'clock is holding on now, waiting to receive the report of this committee. Only when we accept to be very effective and coordinate ourselves within the context of time, we cannot be able to achieve that. I want to believe, not speaking for the governor in any way, some of the issues he raised were earlier addressed on by his speech, and we have a copy of his speech that to submit anyone. And our engagement with him here does not stop today. At least he has availed himself before us today, and we have a discussion with him, with the leadership, and he has taken upon him deputies. He will definitely do that. So let us be very brief in the questions we're asking, and we should not be tautologous in asking questions. So, Honorable, hold on, please.
In Nigeria. My questions are straightforward, sir, based on the submission of the CBN and in line with the policies. He made mention that he has super agents. Out of the 1.5 million super agents, they took 30,000 to do certain assignment. My concern is the downtrodden people from the grassroots, people from the village. The internet connectivity in Nigeria shows less than 60% coverage in this country. And then looking at the policies he's trying to implement, 30,000 divided by the total number of the local government, you will only have 38 super agents. Withdrawing even 300,000, 10,000, it will amount, a community will just spend nothing, less than ₦1 million. And the total number of ATM machines across Nigeria is less than 20,000. In Akwa Ibom alone, the villages is over 2,666. Not to local government. So the ATM machine in Nigeria up to now is less than 21,000. Then take this into side. I start projected. You said 2 minutes. I need 1 minute.
2 minutes is by my watch, not by your watch.
Again, sir, let me just say the last one. I think
5 seconds.
5 seconds, sir. The one issue I think we received the briefing from the deputy governor last term, and then she gave assurance that there is a counter withdrawal. I think the banks, he needs to give this directive to the banks to start the counter withdrawal. It will ease the tension. Because most of the small-scale businesses that have enterprise, not the ability companies, will have access to funds so that if they are legitimate with their documents, they can do the transaction. This will reduce the tension in the business community. Thank you.
I want to commend the CBN governor. My only concern with the details or the rollout you mentioned about the state. So it's the issue of where I come from, Ilori. As far as I'm concerned, we have not seen the sign of any releases to end of the bank. In the sense that if you go to your end of the bank in Ilori, it's where people line on about 5,000 in an ATM. Even at the bank, you can even get 10,000 naira from the bank, whether through ATM or through the direct counter. That's one. Talk less of the rural areas. For example, my constituency, I have 12 rural areas within my constituency, which I have 23 wards. If you look at it, every pressure is on me on daily basis. I do a post out to get this new note. That's my question. I want to appeal to this governor to see how you address my people in Kwara State, more especially my constituency. In view of this, Mr. Chairman, after the I think we should proceed to the plenary and CBN to go and look forward how to resolve the problem of our masses in our various constituencies. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Honorable Eden, please.
I commend you for this lofty policy of your organization. My only worries is the fact that when this policy came up, there was this expectation that this policy is going to help strengthen our Naira against the dollars. But today, as at today, from my observation, I think the dollar is even higher than what it was before the policy came on board. Is it not the policies that are supposed to help, strengthen the Naira. So I think I would like you to throw more light why the dollar is getting, higher on daily basis. That is the position now in the country.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Honorable member in green, please.
What I want the CBN governor to do
Please,
is, yes, straightforward, sir. Much as you have deployed 30,000 people, can you please give a directive to all the banks on ATM machines so that we can ease this tension? The minimum withdrawal should not be 5,000. Maybe you raise it up a little bit on the automated teller machine. If that goes up, I'm sure the tension will go down. Most of them they bring it as low as 5,000. Maybe as a regulator, give it to them. The minimum withdrawal at this moment should be 20,000 naira, so that will ease the tension at the ATM machines.
Thank you for that beautiful advice. Honorable Johnson Aguma, please, you have 2 minutes to make your questions.
Restrict myself to one question that is bothering all of us. When are you opening across-the-counter business transaction in Nigeria? Because we are suffering. Everywhere we are suffering.
Open more branches in these 774 local governments that we have. Most of these local governments, we don't have commercial banks. Like the local governments I'm representing, we don't have a bank. 3 local governments. So most of our members, they don't have banks. Instead of this 1.5 million agents, we want you to encourage commercial banks to open branches nationwide. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman and Leader, Honorable Adedugua, and members of this special committee. I really want to thank you for granting us the opportunity. According to you, you use the word is an engagement. It's for an opportunity for an interface with the CBN to really get some clarity about this program, this ambitious program that we embarked upon. I want to thank you, and I must say this. I have taken down all the questions. I have close to about 15 questions here written. And what I want to say is that not only that we'll provide the committee and the House with reports, those reports are available. We'll provide reports to you, but those ones that require that we take note of issues, amend one aspect here, amend the others there, I can assure you that is the reason we're here. That is the reason we must prove to you that we are ready to listen to you. We will look at them and we will respond. But I still say this, gentlemen and ladies, this is a policy program that has been put in place for the good of Nigeria, for the good of the Nigerian economy. Over time, we will all come back and celebrate that we did this. I repeat, this is a program that should be done every 5 to 8 years. We've just had a rare opportunity to do it, to conduct this in 19 years. And I'm very optimistic that it is good and better for the Nigerian economy, which is overarching for all of us. And I want to crave your indulgence, and I repeat, there may be some pains, and I've taken your point about where there are pains, but we'll make sure that we'll resolve it, but we'll continue to crave your understanding and your support for this program. Please, I thank you very much for your attention, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Governor. Thank you, distinguished members of the committee.